Shirt show. All right, let's go.
Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Shirt man! All right! Episode 239 of Shirt Show! We're talking with John from LogoDaddy and Nick from Profit in Minnesota. Let's go!
Hello.
There he is with the classic gray crew neck. Good morning, Mello.
It's comfy. Hi. Hello,
Hi.
Mia Moore.
Hi.
I don't have a t-shirt underneath this. Is that weird?
You have the body for it.
Just no time. I'm late already as it is. 10 minutes. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
We're doing this early for you, and
Thanks.
I was on schedule, and then I got thrown off, and then I'm like, okay, well, I can make up some time on the interstate system here in St. Louis. And then so I got it ready, put it in sport mode.
Sport mode.
And then state trooper right in front of me. So I had to follow him for literally probably 10 miles.
Doing the exact speed limit.
Yeah, he was doing like 62 in the 60s. So and then when we had this merge and there was some construction getting on 270 North. And you know how when a lot of times you just want to get over and start going. Well, there's a solid white lines because of the construction. You cannot change lanes for about, I don't know, a mile. And I wanted to like so bad because they were going like too slow. We were going like 10 under. I'm like, I just want to change fucking lanes and then, get going. I had to obey the solid white line. And then the moment it turned dash or whatever, whoosh, and I passed him. I just passed him right up.
Rolled your window down, threw the bird out.
Super Troopers. No, I was obeying for the first time in a long time all traffic laws. Felt good.
Wow.
Fancy. Yeah, I'm a good citizen of the city here of St. Louis. Be proud of me today.
Yeah. What else is new? Is that
Nothing.
just the start of your morning? Did you not sleep last night? Just treadmill it and then immediately go into traffic?
I did treadmill it, of course, because my thing actually was pretty late in the night, but not that late. I suppose I finished, I think I was back upstairs by 10. Yeah, I was done by 10. So it wasn't that crazy late. In fact, we talked after that.
I know. It was pretty late. I was surprised you were awake.
Shut the fuck up.
You're like my little night owl now.
Well, one of the reasons why, right? I've got like the testosterone to get me there. Like I
could see it coming out of your tear ducts right now.
Full load.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm maxed.
Don't say full load to me.
That's the wrong thing. That's the wrong terminology, isn't it? Okay. Well, it's my T is maxed. Okay.
Okay.
It's right where it should be. And
all right, good.
I'm not that tired ever. I don't sleep. I don't need any more sleep. It's like when you were in, 25 and you required very little sleep. Like if you did sleep, then maybe it would just be for a few hours and you're good.
I was talking about that with my kids not that long ago, where when I was their age, I was always going to my friend's house on the weekends and like playing video games and whatever else. And it was like every weekend was the same thing. And like, oh, dude, we're going to pull an all-nighter.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, that's the worst fucking idea ever. Like, it's so dumb.
You don't make it usually all the way through. You try.
Oh, I mean, you would try, well, you had to if you were at a friend's house, because if you didn't, you would get like drawn on your face or your shirt caught on fire or like something would happen.
Well, you just can't be the first one to fall asleep.
Yeah. But I mean, even then it's still sketchy.
Mm-hmm.
So then your dad picks you up at like 10 a.m. the next day and like your eyes are like bloodshot and
you're
just like,
those are the days. That's where I'm back to. Like I reverted back to that. So when I come up to visit you, plan on
all-nighters and pizza.
Yeah, no sleep. Barons.
Sweet. Awesome. Yeah.
Dues,
Yeah. So this is our first episode of 2025.
Cheers.
Hey, cheers. We made it another year.
Honestly, I have no idea how. If you really want to know the truth.
I know.
I don't know how I'm standing here. How is it? I guess here's I don't know. I can break it down real quick. I think that we're standing here because We're men. That's a terrible thing to say, isn't it? Okay, so I just got canceled. No, really, I think it's because
I'm just sitting
we
here like,
are, Dylan, come on,
all
come with
right,
me
bring
here.
rain it in. Okay.
Don't say that either. That's bad. I'm saying all kinds of bad things this morning. So look, here's why, is because the show must go on. Let's just put it that
Yes,
way.
there you go.
How's that?
I like it.
Yeah, you get knocked down or shit hits the fan or whatever it is, the show must go on. And so you got to deal with that. And
Yeah.
that's what we're made of. That
Mhm.
it is. And I think it's because, well, maybe part of it is from just DNA. You're born with some of that stuff, but also, you
Maybe
know,
it's
you
Maybelline.
maybe it's Maybelline. And then the final thing could be is that we're just used to this sort of thing, like you have to be resilient or maybe that's the word. You have to be
Yeah.
okay with, hard times. And it is
Well,
what it is.
there was a comment on YouTube the other day that was talking about how thanks for no matter what having a routine of having an episode on every Monday. And it's like we haven't missed a Monday, and we just can't let it happen at this point. Like it's been so
Yeah, it's
many
sort of
Mondays.
like my Duolingo streak of, you ready? I mean, I cannot, like, no matter what, if I'm like in the hospital and I'm under anesthesia for
Right?
24 hours for like,
Someone has to whisper Spanish into your phone.
they will. And because I'm on day 47. So I haven't done it today yet, which will make day 48. And it would just super suck if I missed a day and then I started over because I got 48 days. You know what I'm saying? Like that's
Yeah,
something to
yeah.
be like proud of. And so I just want to keep it going. And there's something to be said for that. There's something to be said for a streak and wanting to keep it alive and having that as a motivational
Just not in your underwear.
factor. Yeah, you've got like all the zingers today. Like you're ready to go.
It's not a zinger. You just, I mean, yeah, I'm fresh, dude. I had 2 weeks off.
You did, but you did fly into Syracuse,
Syracuse.
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 Is that how you say it?
It's your
Um,
Duolingo kicking in.
that's right. And you landed in shorts like a moron,
Yeah, I
and
did.
then
That's so
had
stupid.
to de-ice your car, and
Yeah.
that's your fault right
So,
there.
so yeah, I was here for Christmas and Thanksgiving. And why am I bringing up Thanksgiving? I was here for Christmas,
And
and
for
then
Halloween, you were there, I
for
think.
Halloween, yeah, I was home. Yeah, all
Okay,
those things.
cool, cool.
So yeah, me and Christina were here for the Christmas time, and then flew to Florida for New Year's, which was fucking crazy. I don't know if I got to talk to you about that or not, but like, her neighborhood has just a bunch of fucking crazy people
Hmm.
that like good people, but just like that buy full on fireworks, not like the little ones, like, oh, here's some bottle rockets and whatever. They're
Heavy
like the
duty.
fucking like mortars and shit.
Yeah.
Like, like in their backyard, just like, and we're like sitting on the couch watching TV, having
Mhm.
takeout, just relaxing, and it's just like seriously sounds like a war zone outside. And so that was pretty fun and crazy. But yeah, just kind of like had the Christmas break, the New Year's break, everything. A lot of good chill times. I went to SeaWorld the last 2 days, which I've never been. Place is pretty
Um,
cool.
I don't know if I'm okay with that because
I know the
they
whole blackfish thing.
yeah, are they treated okay over there? Like when you were in
Yeah,
St.
well,
Louis, remember we went to see the sea lions.
and I saw a sea lion thing there, and all I thought about the entire time was the St. Louis one.
How good it was?
Yeah.
You didn't sound very like sure of that.
No, for real. I just thought of that the whole. I mean, it was very, very similar, but it
Hmm.
wasn't. What's his name? What was his name?
I want to say like
Fucking
Charlie or something, or I don't
yeah, he's
know.
like
What was it?
the oldest sea lion on Earth or something.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Hmm.
no, it was good. I mean, the whole experience was cool. I want to take my kids. They have some sweet roller coasters and whatnot, and
Oh, okay.
that was a good time. The whole experience. But yeah, basically 2 weeks off to just kind of like recharge and refresh. And
Hmm.
I today, like, it's sad to like come home and be separated and whatever, but like I'm so ready to like sit at my desk and just like get my routine back to like my mind of like business owner and oh shit, I like gotta get things ready for 2025 was so kicked into gear this morning that I was just like ready
Well,
to go.
I'm going to call you out on something right now.
Okay, do it.
You told me that over break, and you said this just a few weeks ago, that over break, you just can't wait because you have all these projects that you're going to
Yep, didn't
do,
get a
and
single
then
one done.
people are gone, and it's just you in the shop, and you get there and you turn on the tunes and do these projects. And so, what's up with that?
Did you see it? It's that weight right here on my shoulders that didn't happen and that I still need to do those things.
Okay. Okay. Well, I forgive you. And in fact, I encourage doing exactly what you just did. Yeah, those 2 weeks to reset
Mhm.
is going to give you the energy.
I
And it
like I said,
probably,
I'm learning.
yeah.
I'm trying to mix real life with work life, a little balance,
Mhm.
if you will.
Okay. Okay, good. I'm proud of
Anyway,
you.
I thought you would love this because, we're both big mama's boys. Um, my mom made me a sign at home. She's like, "Oh, I made this for you." And I was like, "Oh, cool. Can't wait to open it." She made this for me for my door for my office.
Out of Scrabble, out of
Yeah.
Dylan, the
Dylan
boss,
DeBoss, man. DeBoss
the boss.
Gilligan.
That's
This
all.
guy
You mean
fucking
you opened that as a
wine.
present, like
Yeah, this
at
was a
Christmas or
present.
something?
Yeah, this was a Christmas present for my mom.
I love it. I love it.
So
It's
I'm gonna hang this on my office door.
beautiful.
Yeah, it's very nice. Bring it on, homeboy. I'm ready.
Um, Frank called. I just remembered. I forgot to call him back.
No, you're
Oh,
excommunicated now.
do I need to call him right now? We don't have time. Otherwise, I would. Frank, I would right now if I didn't have 6 minutes to do all these. Ready? Hurry. It all starts with the screen, and whether it's new stretches or restretches, Frank and his team do it the best. To find out more, go to graphicscreenfashion.com, FFFFF,
Rank.com.
or
Great fucking screens.com. The best part about that, I was thinking of how fast you did that, was there are people who listen to this at 2x.
yeah, right?
It's just going to be fucking blazing speed.
They're going to love it. Cleaning screens is no fun, but EasyWay makes it way more funner. Their line of eco-friendly chemicals will make reclaiming screens a whole lot easier. Check them out at easyway.com. EasyWay.
It's the easiest way, baby. God, it
It
feels
is.
good to say that.
I have not talked to Alex this year yet, and so
Oh, I have.
I need to call him then, not you.
Mhm.
I have talked to Mr. Nick Wood, and let me tell you this: not only is he beautiful inside and out,
Truly.
but he is. You want to call him over there at Graphics because they're the source for production-ready digital art and remote art staffing. We use them every single day. They can help any size shop. Learn more at graphxsource.com or
1-900hotstuff.com.
mhm, correct. Dylan?
SNS has been our go-to apparel source since day one. Discover an extensive range of apparel that blends innovative design and unbeatable comfort. Their customer service and quality control are the best out there. Check them out at ssactivewear.com.
Gosh, that was beautiful.
If you live under a rock and haven't tried the new American Apparel 1301 garment dyed shirt yet, you are missing out. The heavyweight cotton shirt that has rough and tumble vibe of your favorite concert tee. With a wide rib collar and the vintage faded look, this shirt will definitely be in your weekly wardrobe rotation. Ask your rep to get some for your showroom today. I wrote that
Say
like half an hour ago.
that really is some great copywriting. And can I ask you this though? The only fault I found is say the
This
three
shirt will
words.
definently be in your weekly wardrobe rotation. It's
Say
hard
that,
to
yeah.
say.
Weekly wardrobe rotation. I like it.
It's hard.
So this episode comes out on January 6th, which means 16 days, 17 days from the time this comes out, we have a happy hour.
That's
And
true. Yeah.
there's going to be merch there. And my question to you is because Gildan, I know, sent them, they want a real printer. They want somebody that's not going to fuck it
Right.
up. So they sent the shirts to
Exactly,
you.
yeah.
Are they 1301s? What are they?
The 1301 tees, and then there's also the hoodies, the American Apparel hoodies as well.
Yeah, I was like, hey, can I print some of these one day? And they said,
No, there's like already sent. Sorry.
maybe next year.
We do have a new partner for 2025. Our good friends at Stalls. This I wrote as well. I mean, they gave me some notes, but I spiced it up a little bit. You ready? For over 90
Yes.
years, Stahls has been the leading choice among apparel decorators for their heat transfer materials, heat press equipment, and custom transfer services. Not only do they offer some of the best products, but they are always looking to innovate and educate our industry on all things heat press. Head over to stahls.com to order your transfers and check them out on YouTube to get taught a thing or two.
And put them on your weekly
Wardrobe rotation.
rotation also.
Hey, for the new year, if you haven't liked or subscribed to our YouTube videos, do that because fucking why not? Don't be an asshole. Maybe you could share that you're listening to the episode on Instagram or just say something nice. That's cool. You know, we say a lot of words. Be nice if you could too.
Anyway.
Also, back to the happy hour. It should be Thursday. So if you're traveling into Long Beach, make sure you're there Thursday so you could go to our happy hour. I have the artwork done. Should have a flyer out hopefully this weekend. And yeah, it should be a great time. Fun time. Come by.
So if you're not there, I mean, it's at like 5 or 6 o'clock or whatever it is, 6 o'clock, I think. Change your flights because you have to get there early enough to get there to get over to the happy hour.
Yeah. Thursday's
It's
the first day of
weird.
the show. So
Yeah, this year it's over. Like there's not any show on Sunday. You know how it used to go like half day Sunday or whatever? There's not. It's half day Saturday. So it's like, psh.
Right, because it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
It's kind of Wednesday too. Like
Wednesday's like an education day or something. Yeah, but
that's dumb.
yeah, it's dumb. Who wants to go learn, sit down?
If I wanted to learn something,
Just kidding. It's cool. You should do it if you want to.
I agree. We taught one of those classes and then they said, maybe you shouldn't.
Right. Well, you did. I mean, it was only your name that was on it. So
Oh yeah.
I was just there.
That's right. Well, D, my guy, who do we have today?
Today we are talking to LogoDaddy John, our good buddy, and Nick from Print Profit.
That's right. Whoa, look at that. That's pretty cool.
Hey guys.
All right, Nick, first of all, go back to the bathroom, shave this center section out, shave the sides out. That handlebar would rule.
Don't tempt me with a good time.
It would be a good one.
That's all I'm saying. So we had me and Andy were talking about, hey, let's, get on. We'll talk about 2025 and what we're going to do and all these things. And then he was like, hey, did you hear about this thing John's doing? And I was like, oh, a little bit, but fill me in. And then he was like, hey, let's have John on. And then also let's have Nick on. And here we are.
The way John explained it to me, we had coffee on New Year's Day at this new place called something, Upshot.
It was nice.
High Fidelity or something like that. Anyway, and he's like, have you seen the movie Moneyball? And I'm like, yeah, great, fucking one of the best. And it's sort of like that. And so that got me excited. And I don't know, Nick, we talked to you once before maybe it was in the summer or something like that. And then it's been a whirlwind since, and so I can't remember anything what we talked about.
It really sunk in.
No, it's perfect timing, and it's a pleasure to be on the podcast. And what John and I have going on is really, really cool. Where taking a topic that in our industry it's typically been a pain point or something that we don't want to talk about, but the numbers and the actual making money, and do we understand it? Right? There's so much gross, complex, OMG, but that's what really led me to start the software company called Print Profit, which is wanting shop owners to see their business with 2020 vision for the first time, clearly what's going on, but more importantly, what's the path to making more money. And that's what John and I kicked off not long after Print Hustlers at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and had a chance to head out to St. Louis, see the shop, meet the team. And there's a lot of special things underway for LogoDaddy and 2025 and beyond.
John, I want to ask you, because you're kind of open with these things and you can get as, whatever personal as you want to, but like as an owner, like what gets you to that point where you're like, Like, was this something you were kind of looking for, or was this something you met him and were like, oh, let's try this out? Or like, what's the pain point where you're like, dude, I really need to just dive into all of these like fucking details?
Yeah, I think that for me, it's like, you start this business and this thing grows and grows and grows. And we get to where we're at now, with, mid 20s employees, we have this big building, we have all this overhead, and the business has always been very successful. Because at the end of the year, I always find out at the end of the year if I made any money or not, and
Right.
I mean, you kind of know throughout, but how much, how did we do? We start, I was never good at that part, at the financial part. Matter of fact, I don't even touch a lot of that. I'm better at other things. And so then my key people here would be like, hey, we did this and we've grown this much. And every year we've had great growth, and everything's been good. But to be honest, when you really get down to the nuts and bolts of it and look at like what months are we maybe losing money, or where are we losing money, or what customers are we not as profitable on? I think when the business gets to a certain level, you have to start looking at these things, because a few bad decisions can make it go the wrong way really quickly, when you have a high sort of overhead because of how big the scale of the business is, So
Right.
like,
You can't just wing it anymore.
yeah, you can't wing it anymore. You got to know the numbers, and honestly, I've always hated to think about the numbers. Like, it's just not what I enjoy doing. I think probably like a lot of people in our industry, but at a certain point, the numbers, are really extremely, it sounds crazy, but the numbers are extremely valuable. Of course that's obvious, but at some point you're like, a few $1,000s loss here and there can make a big, big difference with this many people and this big of an organization. So when I heard Nick talk at Print Hustlers about his software, it allowed, there's a lot that it does. I'm going to let him, he could talk more about that, but like each sales rep that you have, or each person can go in and you can kind of find out how good they're doing, or compared to the other reps, or are we hitting the targets we want to hit, things like that, where you can't manage what you don't measure, sort of thing. And his software is really good about allowing you to measure it. And when I talked with Andy and I made the Moneyball reference, that's really what it feels like, because we're going in and we're finding out like, hey, where are we losing? Where are we losing at? What's costing us money? Where are we not making enough? All these different things. And so it allows us to look at it really customer by customer and see, who are we doing better on? Do we need to raise a price here? Can we come back a little bit on this one to gain more work? How does that look? It just gives you a really clear view of, how to manage your business a little better. So that's why I was excited about. I'm really excited about doing it. And then having Nick here, I've learned a lot already, honestly. A lot of it's some of it's maybe just business, financial education, it's like those things
Right.
that we've put off for a long time, but
That's always been like embarrassing for me, like personally, is like you were saying, John, there's those years of like doing this and you're like, oh, I don't need to learn this stuff. Obviously things are running and it's successful enough and everything's good. And I've even told that with like my money people, like my accountants and whatever else. I'm like, oh, treat me like a 2-year-old. Like, that's what I pay you for. I don't want to know whatever. And they always give me this look of like, yeah, but you're an idiot. Like, you should know these things. And I'm always just like, yeah, but you're the idiot. I'm paying you to do it. Like, I don't want to do that. I want to play with art and I want to like do fun things and run the business and whatever. But yeah, you do run into a wall at a certain point where it's like, oh shit, I should know like where all this money goes and how it's spent and what I'm actually losing and whatever. And then you start to kind of put it together, but we don't know anything about it. Like, I didn't go to school for that. I don't know all these things. All I know is I talk to other friends like, you and Andy and all these other people, and they're like, how do you not have that metric? There's always in our chats, there's always that one person who's just asked this one money question and someone's like, oh, I have this board that has like all of my metrics. And you're just, I never chime in. I'm like, I have no idea what you guys are talking about. And Andy's like, oh, I'm up in Q4 and this percentage or whatever. I was like, I have no fucking idea. Like, there's either money in the bank account or there's not.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I'm exactly like you, Dylan. That's how, and
Okay, good.
it sounds crazy because like, I think that all of our companies have a really good, what I mean? Like we're doing well in this industry, and to not know those things seems
Yeah,
crazy, but you know what? You don't have to know those things to do well, but you have to know those things if you want to do better.
I
And
agree.
so
Yeah.
that's what matters.
You know,
And he's pulling up his metrics right now.
Yeah, he's seeing if he's up in Q4.
I think you were describing possibly the difference between a CEO and a CFO, because we are CEOs, most of us anyway, which we're barely that because I started in a garage, and so all of a sudden you scale sort of like you said, and you're here. And I just was curious because, when larger companies have a CEO, their decision maker on a lot of different things, right? But they have somebody that reports to them and they're the chief financial officer and they come and say, hey, here are the numbers, here's what's going on. And that's their responsibility. It's not necessarily the CEO's responsibility because they have 10,000 other things going on. And so maybe that's the difference. I don't know, because we're just so small that we wear many hats. We're small businesses. I don't know, this is too long to read, but I think maybe that's the difference. We'll just say I was right.
So I guess the main question, and this can be about many things, but Nick, if you were to come to me, what? Because I think that's the overwhelming part is that I can say all day long I've been embarrassed for years and I've been doing this for 17 years and blah 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 blah. But I can keep saying that, but I might never change or I might never do anything because it's too overwhelming. I'm like, where the fuck do I start? Like, do I go take a class at a college? Like, what do I do to learn all this stuff? Like, if you were to come to me with a solution, how does that work? Are you just like, hey, let's baby steps, go through all your numbers and put all these things in, and you're like, boopity doop doop doop, and then things come up on the screen? Like, what happens?
I'm here to not introduce more complexity. We already have enough of that in our industry and a lot of these concepts. I want to go back to keeping it simple and what's truth, right? Versus over engineering. You don't need a fancy degree, all these credentials. There's a lot of good business 101 that we're able to cover. So for the software, it's as simple as automatically connecting to your data. So for example, Printavo automatically via API grabbing that and then brings it into the cloud-based software in a really easy way to digest the numbers. And John and team can attest to this. It's a very simple analogy of we figure out your overhead, your fixed costs automatically. That's your mountain. And then from the data we pull in, we can see very clearly what's helping or hurting you cover that overhead each month and get to profit land. So yeah, it's very seamless with the data and then just kind of education 101. And the biggest satisfaction I get is empowering a print shop to be able to be like, Nick, we don't need to talk anymore. We got it. We understand and we're rocking. That for me is why I started this to begin with, is to take this biggest challenge and make it to be one of the team's biggest strengths. And John, maybe you can talk about that process. I mean, very, business 101, looking at the figures and then, all right, team, here's how you use it. Here's how you think, and you're off running.
That's what I was going to say, Dylan, is for me, what's kind of cool is like what Nick's built is it almost kind of becomes your own personal app, right? Like, you have your dashboard that you can look at every single day that just shows you, hey, here's where we're at for this month. Here's where we have to get to. And how much further do we have to go to get to that, to where we're actually into profit? And you can really keep a close eye on the numbers. It's almost like finance for dummies, or that's how I feel. Like it helps me a lot be able to see, all the numbers are there. Like it just shows me how, are we close to like when do we become close to breaking even this month? But I think a lot of shop owners probably couldn't tell you what their monthly costs are every month, and actually know that number. And so that's kind of scary when you think about it. If you don't know.
Well, I mean, we know that we know that too, because there's so many printers that are just copying the next guy's pricing. Mm-hmm. They're not actually having their own pricing based on what they need to survive. They're like, well, that guy was, $4.50. I'll do it for $4.40. And then it's the constant race to the bottom on price. that gets us all into where we're like, oh, hey, we have no margins. And it's like, that's because nobody's actually figuring out what it costs to print a shirt in their shop. They're just guessing random prices to be competitive. Yeah. And then we end up where we are. But I'm more curious, John, of like, before he came in, was there something in your shop that you were like, am I making enough with this customer? Or am I like, do I have too many employees? Do I have like different things? Was there something there that you were like, I really should get this in order? Or was it more just like, hey, new year, I want to do this just so I'm smarter in the know on this?
A lot of it was just like, so, we just went through a sort of a growth spurt. Each year we've grown and grown, and that's great. And we just bought, a new building. We've been in a little over a year now, and we added an auto, and we've added team members, and we've added all these things. And so it's been hard to, there's a lot of days that we're only spinning 2 presses and we're not spinning the third. And you're going, well, are we losing money when that happens? Or, I just started looking at those things, and you're going like, the bigger the horse, the more it eats. And this is a pretty big horse. And it's like, so I need to make sure that like, when there's days that we're slower, are we just getting our ass kicked those days? Or are we still breaking even? Or, or where are we at the end of the month on some of these things? And then for us, we do signage and wraps also. So it was like, is our signs and wraps carrying us through months and our screen printing is down, or is it the other way around? So we want to just keep a better eye on all that stuff. And, I'm still scaling or still planning on growing, and so I'm just at that spot where like, it's important for me to start paying attention to some of the things that I used to not have to pay attention to if I want to get, if I want to take this thing to another level and keep going. And so really it was maybe just about being, more business smart and looking at some opportunities and thinking like, hey, I need to make sure that all my ducks are in a row and I got everything sort of fixed. Like honestly, even through like, when you think about every shop, you think about your tax person and you think about your taxes and how you're registered as an S Corp or an LLC or C Corp or whatever, however different people are registered. You're like, are we doing this right? Like we started this 15 years ago, but did we change it when we needed to? Now that we, generate a certain amount of gross revenue, should we change something with taxes? Should we do something financially different? Should we have different accounts? A lot of these things you don't know, and you just have to, I think at some point it has to start being very, very important to pay attention to and learn. And that's kind of what drew me to this.
Andy, you definitely wanted to chime in there. So
I have two questions. The first one comes off of what John was saying, and it made me think, would you rather have one press and just too much work and everything gets stacked up and you're just filling that press, but it's constantly spinning, even in overtime, and that's stress. Okay, you know what that feels like because we've all been there. Or because we're spinning 2 presses and our third one's off today. It's January. It's pretty typical, but it's rare, but that's the month and then we do that. Or would you rather have, 3 presses and only be spinning 2 and have that one be idle and that stress of, I gotta, feed that machine? And they're different stresses, but sort of similar. Which feels better? I'm going to say right now, for me, I'd rather have just one press and be so stacked up. I'm coming in on Sundays, even though that's awful because you're like, man, I don't have a life. You do know this, you're making money because there's no idle time and you're just like, pedal to the metal. Whereas now you're just like over here, what the fuck are we doing?
I agree with that. But I've been in all 3 of those scenarios where it's kind of like you have the one and you're working until 10 o'clock every night. But the problem is you have so much burnout with employees because they don't want to work till 10 o'clock at night. Yeah. And then the other thing is you're starting to get pissed off customers that are like, you said your turnaround was 7 days. Here we are at 15 days. And then you start losing customers. But
you're booked out. You're so booked out. You're like, I don't even care. And
you're
like,
booked out until they just leave.
Until they go away.
But you're super confident and somebody comes to your front counter and they're negotiating. You're like, get out of here. Like, what are you talking about? In fact, I just raised my prices, because you're just so busy. And that's is that a better stress than trying to feed this beast that you're building? I don't know.
It's enticing because the thing is that I love the idea of the one press being busy all year long where that stress melts away of like, I don't have enough food for this press. I don't have enough food for this press and these employees or whatever. So it's enticing to go to the one press thing. But again, the reality I feel is that you do get too bogged down where you're pissing customers off, which is what I don't want to do. But that's what I'm saying. I've done all three of these where then it was okay, you get two presses and then you're happy with like, okay, I have enough for two presses. But the reason why I got a third was because there are those months where you can use the third. But the nice thing about the third press is that purchase was more of a, how do you want to say it? It's more of a. It
doesn't hurt you if you don't.
It doesn't hurt me. Like I bought it with money that I was like, I should spend this, so I'll go.
Like tax money situation, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
So it wasn't like I was like, oh, I'm going to make this massive investment that's going to make this company explode. It was
Still,
like, hey,
it's there.
I can buy the. Yeah, I know. But the nice thing about my shop with it having the three presses is I don't have two dedicated employees for the third press. What happens is if we get so busy that we need the third press, we just allocate people in the shop to run that press. So it's not like if I have no work for the third press, there's just two people standing there.
No big deal.
I think Nick has a different answer for you right now, Dylan. You're in trouble. You're in big trouble right now.
No,
I saw him doing this a couple times, so I know.
that handlebar is getting ready. So I see a lot of these topics to be art and a science. You got something with black and white, the calculator says, and then you have the day-to-day reality of the business and customers and the team. John and I are doing something similar in Print Profit, where we've got what if analysis to say, where does the business want to go? John, what are your aspirations? And he'll tell me, we plug it in, and then we talk about black and white. This is what it would take to get there. And we can do different scenarios, like would you want to be the one press or the numerous presses, but not so busy? And then how does it shake down to a profit? So that's the cool thing of adding numbers to the conversation. Then you've got the full 360 to say, okay, I know what the calculator says. I know what day-to-day feels like. What's the decision I want to make?
I think.
All right, nerd.
But John, I pressed you a bit, being like,
yeah.
Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? All right.
Yeah.
And here's what that would take. And it get down.
Well, I mean, it all makes sense. It's obvious defense mechanism where I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever, push up your glasses. But yeah, I mean, I fully get that. That's awesome. I'm just saying that it's a different kind of stress now of like John's saying is like you get to this point where you're growing and you're adding these new clients and whatever, and you're like, oh, I got a new building and I want to hire these salespeople and I want to add another press, and so that I know that if this work that I want to comes, I'm fully ready and whatever. But the reality is shit happens. The world shuts down.
Don't come. Yeah.
And it don't come. And 2024 is this weird year where everyone's flat and it's like, what the fuck? And then you go into 25 of like, an economist said it's going to be good, so hopefully it's good. And that's where the numbers thing for me is like, I still feel like there's the world kicking you in the nuts regardless of is it going to come or not. So,
and one thing I'll say, which is encouraging, right? We've got the world around us, these unforeseen conditions that we all are a part of. But going back to this mission of wanting to empower shops to get on offense again and stop being on the defense, there's so many opportunities to play moneyball in print where you're looking at all the low-hanging fruit of opportunity, right? We serve a ton of customers, do a ton of products. Who's dropped off? And are we even aware? Who's ordered hats but never ordered shorts? Or all these different scenarios where we can use the numbers to say, in our little part of the U.S. for our shop, what can we do with the numbers in order to grow our sales or be more profitable? And I think that's pretty cool. And that's what LogoDaddy's starting to do, finding all these hidden growth opportunities to really be on the offense.
And I think that's what's really cool is John can look at like, hey, I have this customer that does really well with this pricing, with this structure, with this turnaround, whatever. You can apply that then to new people coming in or to current customers and change things or tweak things. And have you looked at this at all yet and been like, I need to fire this customer? Like,
yeah,
we've looked at really working.
We just started, we're pretty new. So we've only got a kind of a month and a half under our belts, with actual like really, really, actual data, from through December and everything. So we're just now getting to that part where we're starting to look at these customers, but it's been pretty eye-opening to see. The other cool thing is just to see like where your customers rank in your list, right? Like it might be a customer that maybe it's your particular customer, Dylan, where you're like, oh yeah, this guy always orders, but you look at them in your list and you're like, actually, they're like 63 down in our customer list. So why are we bending over backwards for this customer? Yeah, when we should probably pay attention to like number 1 through 10 a little better.
Yeah.
And so it shows you a lot of that. But to go back a little bit, answer Andy's question about the 3 presses or 1 press. I'm with you. Like, it's always nice to know you have so much work that you can barely get it done. But it's totally like, I don't mind having 3 presses and 1 just sits there, as long as I really know what my numbers are and then I'm actually making money. Because now I always have the opportunity to make more money because I have that 3rd press that I can turn on at any time when I can get that work. But if I don't turn it on and I know that I'm profitable, who gives a shit? Just like you said, that press is probably a write-off, or it's not costing us money to be in our shop, unless so I don't know. I think that for me, it's nice being able to see the actual numbers. And the other thing that I think business owners don't look, our shop is, we have a very successful shop. I mean, we make money every year, but it depends on, as an owner, what you want. As an owner, we wear this business every single day, all day. I think every conversation I have has something to do with this business, I feel like. So you're working 24/7. You have tons of financial risk. You have tons of, maybe a property or a building or a lease or whatever. You have all this stress and all these things. What's that trade-off on profit, right? Like let's say somebody made, $100,000. I don't know. Is what you're doing worth $100,000? Because I know people that make more than that don't have nearly the amount of stress that I have. So maybe that's not the right number for me. Maybe
we carry a burden, don't we? Business owners, we carry this big burden with us every day because we have families that, this is their career, and they have mortgages and kids and insurance and all this kind of stuff. And we have to make sure that our business keeps going in the right direction, and that's a big responsibility. You were talking about rank, like customer rank earlier. Nick, I have a question that's for you. Do you know the Pareto principle, so 80-20 rule? Do you find it true when you rank these customers that 80% of your profit comes from 20%? Does that ring true in our industry generally?
I see that. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
And so, yeah, John,
to piggyback on that though, is like John was saying, is I have had customers before where it's like, oh, they give us constant work kind of feeling. Like as an owner, you're like, oh, cool. Like constant work is all I'm looking for. Like they're willing to send us stuff all the time. But then say it's like a contract customer that wants a specific price, but every design they send is like 14 colors. And it's like, I look at it as like, oh, cool, I'm getting this check once a month or whatever. That looks nice. But my staff is like, they just sent us an order for 48 pieces and it's a 12 color. And I just spent all this time setting this up and doing this. Like, is this worth it? Are we making money? And I'm always just like, yeah, they're sending us all this work and whatever. But like, I'm never looking at the actual numbers at the end of it being like, was that worth setting up the 48 pieces or was that worth whatever? So like Nick, you're saying that I can plug all this stuff into software and be like, yeah, you made fucking $26 on that job. Like, was it worth half the day or whatever it is for that press?
Yeah, I would show you black and white, and by customer or the customer's industry, that's really interesting to start to see trends and education versus sports versus nonprofits. And that's where you start to group customers together and think about different strategies. And what's cool, I mean, there's so many different levels you can slice and dice profit. One thing that I think for John and team has been a game changer is, what's today, January 3rd, something like that.
Yep.
John already knows, how is January going to play out and how is February looking? And I really want to emphasize that, like, that proactive visibility, that is something that can be a game changer for so many shops.
Time out.
Yeah.
Like, how does he know this?
I know that just blew your mind. It's like, so basically, because this software connects to my Printavo, based on order dates of what's currently in our system, it shows me where we're going to be by that date. Now, those jobs have to come through and they have to get, placed and sold and picked up and everything else. But it's pretty nice because I can already see, like, I'm actually kind of looking over at my dashboard on it right now too, which is really nice. But I can already see, like, where we need to be to break even. And I can see that, just the orders that we have in the system right now for January, chances are most of these are going to come to fruition. They're repeat orders. Their orders are already in there. I already know that this month we're going to break even. But this is January. It's a slow month for us. So if we want to move into like profit, we got to get on the phone and we got to get some more stuff set up for this month and get things moving, And so it basically tells me, like, hey, we need to stand on the gas right now because we need to get into a profit situation. But the other nice thing that it does is it makes me think about profit differently because, like, so I have a customer that, just a quick story. The customer they were, it was that same thing, race to the bottom. They're like, well, we've always been getting these shirts for, whatever it is, $6 a shirt, and me being a screen printer and where I came from, I'm like, we can't do that. I can't print it for $6 a shirt. I can't make any money on that, But the truth is, I can't do it in my regular timeline. But if I, whatever that number is, let's say my number's $100,000 that we have to hit a month. If I hit that number by like the 15th or 16th of the month, or maybe even the 20th of the month, I hit that $100,000. Any job I can get past that is profit because all the fixed costs and everything else is already paid out. So now if I tell that, so I can go to that, we did this with the customer. We said, hey, I can't come down to that price. This was a repeat job, a big job, like a 6,000 piece order. I can't come down to that price if you need it in like a week turnaround or a 2-week turnaround. But if you can give me 4 weeks, I can be at that price for you because I knew that somewhere in those 4 weeks of that span of that month, I'm going to already be profitable. And now that job is clear profit for me, even though I'm printing it a little cheaper than what I'd like to print it at.
Right, but you don't need that job to pay the bills. That's
Correct.
Just gravy, basically.
That's just gravy, basically, after that. So now we can come down a little bit on cost, help out that customer that's going to give us this big job every single month, and we can still make good money on it. And we know that we're profitable, even though if I was doing that job in the beginning of the month and that was the only job I had, I'd lose my ass if I did it at that price.
I'm trying to find holes in that, and I can't. I'm trying to find out, like, hey, that doesn't work. Like, to argue that, but it seems like it might work.
It does.
I think it might work.
Yeah.
But what I want to know is, Andy, you we talk and you've usually been pretty good with numbers and stuff. Like, what are you doing for yourself to look over your own thing and be like, all right, we're doing good, or I should take this on, or I shouldn't take this on?
That's a great question. I think, I guess we all have KPIs we look at, and I'm assuming this dashboard you set up, maybe you can customize it. I don't know, for each shop, and that would be pretty cool. But because I was going to ask, one of my questions is that do you compare a month like year over year? So like, are you able to look at John's last January and say, okay, well, here's what we did, and then we're trying to beat that. And so is that one of the things that you do? Because I know that's important here, because I know if last January, we made this much money, and this was our sales, and we're trying to match that or beat it. Do you know what I mean? That's one of the things 100%. I do. And so is that in there? Is that in the mix?
Go ahead, Nick. I'll let you talk.
Yeah, you have the ability to compare year over year, whatever reference point, to get a sense of, are we beating ourselves in the past?
The information that you get, honestly, is incredible. Because as long as we've been using QuickBooks and Printavo, I mean, we go back, I can go back to 12 years ago and find out what we did in January, and then compare it to, obviously I wouldn't be comparing that to this year, but like the information's there. It's already recorded.
It's all automated. So once you have it set up, it auto-populates. Yes. It's not like you're plugging in numbers every month. It's just, it pulls from it, it grabs Correct. It from Printavo. And so it's just there for you. What is Nick, what is your background? Is it in finance? Is it in printing? Is it in both? Or are you just like some guy from wherever you're from, Arizona? I don't know where.
Circus clown.
Circus clown. Not far off. So born and raised Twin Cities, up here in snowy St. Paul. One of the coolest things that's happened in my life is going to the regular public high school. And believe it or not, you know how some high schools have wood shop class or auto class? We had screen printing class, but we had two M&Rs. We had a manual screen printer. We had a DTG. We had a wide format. We had die sub. We had 3D printing, digital printing, offset printing. Like I'm going to make a video in 2025 about this high school because the shop still exists. But that's where, like, as a teenager, I really found my passion for print. And then it's been about the last 15 years working all around the world, seeing the industry, working for some big companies. And going back to the start of this conversation of, hey, we know numbers are a challenge. I just want to let a secret out. The whole industry has this challenge, even the big boys, and they don't have the crystal clear visibility. So to whatever shop owners listen to this, you're not alone. This is something I saw all around the world for multi-billion-dollar printers that I actually worked for. And that's why I'm like, I got to create this because there's a need and there's great people and we deserve to look at a business with their glasses on.
What are, with that being said, what are some of the, I guess, the trends that you're seeing, Nick, in people who are coming to you and looking for this? Is it they just being proactive like John, or are a lot of them like really in the hole on certain things where you see and you're like, okay, like I immediately know how we can fix this problem? Like, what problems can you fix if you're fucked, basically, is what I'm asking you. Like, is there a nice roadmap to get out of that with these numbers?
Yeah. So I get approached with distress situations of bankruptcy. I get approached where it's multi-generational family, where looking to pass it off to the young kids who are crazy enough to say yes, and they've been flat. How can they see some growth? I work with some of the biggest shops in North America who do 50,000 jobs a month, who they're making great profit and they want even more. So it's really small, medium, large, all different challenges from no profit to flat to printed money and I want more. And the cool thing is the fundamentals of the software, it helps all of those shops in their situations.
Are you feeling like the ones that are in trouble are just because they haven't really figured out what their numbers are and what a job should actually be priced at? Or is it more that they're just shitty with money and they're spending too much on things they shouldn't be spending on?
That is a big part of the root problem of not having that visibility and going off gut feeling for so long. And as John said, and as we all know, we're all one or two decisions away, mostly from some unfavorable outcomes. So that's just the nature of kind of the industry, right? It's capital intensive. We got a lot of overhead. So having that visibility, I can't say that magic wand, it ensures success forever, but it gets you a lot more on the right path versus not.
John, with you having this in now, I know you're kind of just barely into it, but what is your like hope and goal for, I guess, LogoDaddy? It doesn't necessarily have to be this talk, but now that you have this in place and are you hitting outbound harder, or is this something you're trying to do for 25 where you think, all right, cool, I'm on the right path now? Like, what's the plan?
Yeah, I think for me, honestly, I wanted to evaluate, we brought in some team members that we were like, hey, we're going to move our number from here to here. But in the reality, in the last year and a half, that number hasn't moved that much. So now you go, okay, well, are we heavy? Are we employee heavy? Are we payroll heavy? It's just nice being able to see where we really are too heavy, because most people don't pay attention to that. They just, everything comes out, and at the end of the month, you've made a little bit of money and you're like, oh, okay, cool, we're good. But if you really, you can start looking at everything. I mean, we're looking at, now we go through enough white ink. Let's make sure that we're getting the right price on our white ink, and let's make sure that we're getting the right price on everything. And so like right now, I feel like we're at a place in business, and I think a lot of shops are. It's not like we're that ahead or behind anybody. I think a lot of shops are in our similar situation. If you really start looking at every little thing like that and cutting some costs and just figuring out where you're sort of losing money each month.
Cutting costs without cutting
anything else.
Yeah. Well, it's like Andy, he's a Costco guy. Like he loves to save that a little bit. I think there was a discussion a little while ago Yeah, like go Kirkland. It was something stupid. I feel like a little while ago. What was it? Was Majet or something? Where you're drinking fucking Kirkland too.
Cheers.
I'm over here drinking my like whatever $4, $5 iced tea. It was something stupid like gloves, wasn't it? Where it was like there was a discussion and someone was like, "Oh, I'm spending I don't remember what it was like." $10 a box or something for gloves, and you're like, oh, actually, here's this one, and they work really well, and it's like $2 a box for gloves. Like that shit adds up, and it's like,
well, and if you put it,
sacrificing quality prints or anything, you're just like switching gloves.
It's just gloves.
And the secret of putting it on subscription, you know what I mean? Like when you put something on subscription on Amazon, wherever you get it for cheaper, and that's nice. But Nick, I'm going to need you to sabotage. John's only 30 minutes from my shop, and you're going to have to like fuck up something because he's just going to take over the entire market. Which, by the way, might not be a bad idea. I think maybe we just become one. Maybe
I like that.
Maybe we'll figure something out, and so you can get us implemented too, and then it'll be an easier transition.
He accidentally gives you the wrong login.
Yeah, that's why I started working with Nick first, so that we can sabotage Andy when he gets to his job.
Yeah,
It's funny.
I guess so. I don't know. With all of this talks, I mean, again, we came into this saying, what do we want to do differently for 2025? And I think me personally, like I said, I used to say all this stuff. I don't want to look at the numbers. I think over the last like year-ish, I've been really trying to learn a lot more about like the numbers without having a software or anything, but just what's what, and also in my personal life of like what to invest in and what to, how to move money around in different ways. And I've been way better. It's a long, uphill, hopefully battle for all of this stuff. But I used to be terrible with money when I first started. I was always robbing Peter to pay Paul. I was doing all this stuff, and then it hit me hard, and I was like, nope, never again. Did the whole kind of like profit first thing where I started at the end of every day, like paying all the bills first. And then I was like, all right, cool. I know that stress is gone. And now I'm at that point in my life, like, John's saying, is you get to shop to a certain build and you're like, I really should be looking at these. It's not necessarily like winging it is fun anymore when everyone's on salary and people have kids. Like back when everyone who worked here was just a single dude or girl, and they're just farting around getting money for pizza and beer, it's different. And now everyone's like, hey, I have 3 kids and a mortgage and a car. It's not like I can be like, hey, payroll's optional this week anymore. It's like, no, dude, like everything is like, this has to be here or lives are getting hurt. So,
yeah, I think if you're going to run a long-term successful business, where you can keep employees for a long time. You don't have to retrain people. You're in a little bit different situation, Dylan, because I know like a lot of your employees or some of your employees started out as your good friends, and so you have that bond. But when you're just hiring people off the street and you want to show them that there's a career opportunity here, and you don't want to continuously train people. And so I think if you onboard them the right way, I think if you give them a nice place to work, I think if you pay them well and you have great benefits, those are all things that people are going to want to see in your business. But when you do those things, it's very expensive. And so then all of a sudden, that's kind of, I feel like that's what happened to us, last year. We really took a hard look at that. We promoted a lot of people, or we just brought salaries up across the board based on, the current times and everything. And we spend a lot of money on our building, and it's very nicely temperature controlled, and we have great automation, and all the jobs are good jobs now. But in doing so, if I look at the company's profitability as a whole, it's much less than it once was. And so
right now, at this moment in time,
right now, correct. So we want to, I just want to look at those numbers and see, like, let's look at, really, we might not have to do anything differently other than it might just open our eyes to taking a good look at our customers and our pricing. You know what I mean? And it might just be as simple as adjusting a price on this and going up just a little bit here and charging a little more for this service that we haven't been charging for and things like that. And we can probably be, it may make a huge difference at the end of the year.
Yeah, you just went through a huge growth phase, and you set yourself up for future opportunity and future potential. You have the equipment in place and the building in place and all that kind of stuff and processes, and so you're ready for a little more growth. It sounds like, and Nick's going to help you get there. A couple interesting things. that I wanted to hit on, and that is one. And you can fact check me because this is from memory, but we were talking sabotage. Did you know where that word originates from? So it has a little bit. That would be an excellent story, but no, what it really is that, I think anyway, is that it kind of relates to our industry anyway, and that is, sewing was this cottage industry, and women did it at their home, and so they were doing all of this work at their home, and then something happened. I don't know what it was, but they went on strike, and in order to go on strike, they took their shoes off, which are called sabots, and they took them and threw them in the machines to break the machines, and so it's called sabotage. They sabotaged the equipment, and so and what was the other thing? There was one more thing that what were we just talking about a minute ago?
I don't know, but I need to read more books.
That was a Snapple fact. That's what that
was. What were we saying? You were saying about making more money. I usually write it down when I forgot. But anyway, all right. So
I have one idea I'd like to add to the conversation.
Yeah.
John shares the numbers with the greater team. And having worked with a lot of shops, that is not typical. So I think one thing about the numbers, but do you keep that to yourself? Do you share that further? Why, John, did you go the route to include the rest of the gang on it? And what has that done for the just day to day?
Overall, that's a good question. So I think that originally it started out that way because, just like with a lot of our shops, like I have family that work here. I have, employees that have been here for 15 years. So they feel like family to me. They've been through all of our growth. They've seen it all. So part of it is almost like I feel like they're almost owners in this with me. So like they kind of have always known where we're at with things. And I've been very transparent with that. And I've taken care of them in that way. Like if our business grows, so did their salaries. And so did, if you help me get here, I'm going to take care of you once we do get there type of a mentality. I don't know, moving, as we're growing, it gets harder and harder to do that because you get, not everybody needs to know, obviously, a lot of that stuff. And some people don't understand the other things involved in those numbers. But I try to be as transparent as possible with the team because, I don't know, it's like I want our team to know that there's not one person sitting in an office who's just getting rich and everybody else is pulling the sled, right? Like we're all working together as a team. If we do better, they do better. It's something that, once I've had a year under my belt with this and I can really get a close look at it, I've loved some of the conversations I've heard about having the employees be sort of invested in the company a little bit to where if, with just different bonus structures and things to where if we win bigger, they win bigger so that we're all on the same page. I think if they feel the same way I do, like, man, if we crank out 20 more orders this month, not only does he win, but we win too, so I love that. I love everybody being on the same team and feeling like a part of it. That's important. But so I don't know, transparency. I have a lot of people tell me that I shouldn't be as transparent as I am about a lot of things. I don't know. Maybe that's just my own personal, maybe it's something I shouldn't do, but it's just me. Sometimes I wear my heart on my sleeve a little too much, probably.
I've had both sides of that. And I don't know what the right answer is because I feel like, again, for me, and this is my scenario, is my shop was built on me and my best friends. And then through that process, you share it's not that I'm trying to be like, all right, guys, these are the numbers. They're your fucking best friends. You tell them everything. Like I tell them that plus personal life stuff. Like
sure.
It just, it happens that way. And then I found out that I was talking, a lot of times I talk to them openly in the room, in the office with other random employees. And I'm talking about, numbers and this and this. And then I feel like at a certain point, it got to be where it was like they were using it against me in certain things. You know what I mean? They would come to my office and be like, well, this happened and this happened. Why am I not making this when they're not quite there yet or something? You know what I mean? And all these, I got to a point where I was like, fuck it, I'm not telling anybody anything. Like, I'm just going to keep the business stuff that is my responsibility in my brain. And then the rest of the stuff we'll talk about, like managerial stuff and whatever. But then again, it's also like now I'm in a spot where people are always coming to my office and I'm in work mode, and you know, I might not be super bubbly, but I'm still working. And they're like, "What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong?" And I'm just like, "Nothing. Everything's fine." Like I feel like I'm saying it's fine all the time. And they're like, "Well, what's fine?" I'm like, "No, it's good. It's fine." And it's like I might have a customer who just complained and said they need $2,000 worth of shirts replaced or whatever. And it's like, I don't want to have to relay that all the time and be like, well, this cost me this much money and this happened and this happened. It's like, so I get both sides. Like being transparent is nice because they all feel like part of the team and they all feel like it's one group doing a thing. But I feel like real world stuff, sometimes it comes back and bites you in the ass of like, again, you might have a job that's super profitable and you're like, cool, I can finally fucking put some money in my pocket or back into this thing. And they're like, cool, we're out here busting ass while John's in there counting cash. And it's like, you know, that's not the reality of it. Is they think that all this profit is just going into your pocket when in reality, you got 900 other bills to pay, or you're paying back things that you took out of your savings from before. They don't know.
Most of my team that we are very transparent with are really key members of the team. They've been here a long time and they've kind of known, they've seen us grow up. But yeah, I agree with you. It's very hard, you know. I mean, it's so funny because it's, you know, I joked around and told a story one time. I had this old green International Scout that sat in our driveway, like rusting out. And I moved it a bunch of times. Anyway, it was sitting out there, and one of our employees at the time, she no longer works here, not for this reason. She just moved on. But she used to give me trouble. Like I would bring in lunch or something, and she's like, "Oh, what do you got for lunch?" And I go, "Oh, you know, my wife made me charcuterie or whatever." And she goes, "Oh, charcuterie, you know, must be nice to be rich, right?" Like I would hear this kind of stuff, you know. And she was always telling me how broke she was, and then it was nice that I'm so rich. And I go,
it's also life choices.
It is.
Like you can't like slam them for that all the time. And it's like, you might be way better with your money and you might be way better with like, that's the reason why you're the fucking boss. It's because you put in all these, like, you put in all the work 24/7 for 15 years. When they come to work at 9 and leave at 5 and they have a whole other thing, they don't have to think about it. That's the thing, is that must be nice thing is it's like, well, you got your paycheck and immediately bought 2 pairs of Jordans and a bunch of weed.
Exactly.
Like I took that money and I put it in my investments accounts, or I bought a new business to make me more money. It's like, don't come at me with your must be nice bullshit when you just blew it all on video games. Like,
well, that's what with this person, it was funny because, you know, on the same, like the day before she was telling me how nice it must be for me to be rich. And then the next day she was asking about the old truck in the driveway. She's like, "Why do we have this old rusty junky truck out there? It looks terrible and whatever." And I go, "Oh, funny story about that truck. So I used to live in it." So it's like, so that's why it's there, because it's sentimental to me. And one day I'll probably fix it up. But like, yeah, I lived in that truck for about 3 or 4 months at one time. And I started this business with like no money, out of a garage, and worked day and night while I worked 2 other jobs. And, you know, so I got to tell that story a little bit. And she was like,
they don't see that. They
what do you
see
mean you
now.
lived in a truck? Yeah. Yeah. And you're like, you know, so it's like, I've been there, homie. Let's just, you know, and you could be here too. So that's kind of
like, I lived on like instant mashed potato sandwiches with A1 sauce on them for fucking months.
I have too. And, you know, sometimes I feel guilt. Like if I get a new car and I'm like, gosh, I fucking, you know, worked my hands to the bone, and I actually worked my ass off, or my back off, you know, literally. And I think that, you know, why should that would look bad for me to pull up to the shop in my new BMW. Like I look like a piece of shit. But at the same time, I think about it like this. I'm like, wait a second. I am on this mission and I have a goal, and we are going to be a successful company that cares about its customers and its team. And everybody that works here has a lot of opportunity to either, you know, grow within this company, not just with their positions, but also their compensation, and come along with me for this ride. And here is what can happen. Like, I'm successful. I actually have a new car. And so maybe, do you want that also? Because let's just go. Like, let's go. Let's do this. And so I kind of try to, you know, balance. Like, it's not a Lambo out there. That would probably be maybe too much, you know, but it's a nice new car. So what?
Well,
you know, like, I can't feel
when
bad.
You show up with the Lambo and then there's no air conditioning in the shop. You know what I mean? Like, obviously you blew all your money on that. It's different when it's different when I know all 3 of our shops are very nice, well taken care of, like great places to be. And it's kind of like, you can tell that all three of us take a lot of our profit, put it back into this place to make it a great opportunity, a great place to work, all these other things. But there are places that are gigantic, gross shitholes where it is that, where the owner is like, you know, pulling up in their Lambo, and it's like, there's a difference there. So that's where it's kind of like, okay, yeah, we fucking, like, I look at this building I'm in right now, and it's like, me and, you know, Chris and Brian and Bill always tell these stories of like, yeah, that room right there, like we were in that room for like 6 years where it was just sheetrock that was just mudded, not painted or sanded. And we had a kerosene heater in the middle of the room that kept us warm in the winter time. And oh yeah, the toilet used to freeze solid. And we would piss in bottles and dump it out back. Like you don't think about that when you're in the air conditioning or in the heat in your office, sipping coffee, doing these other things. It's like,
Nick,
I literally had, oh, go ahead.
Go, John, and I'll go after you.
Well, I literally had somebody the other day. It was like, you know, it was a little bit hot or whatever, and they were at the back of the dryer, and which we have 2 air conditioning vents that just pump down like on both sides, almost strategically placed to blow right on top of your head. And they were like, "It's just really hot in here today," you know. And I'm like, and I look at the thermostat that's 10 feet from them, and it's like, you know, 74 degrees or something, you know. Right. And I go, it's 74 with like 50% humidity. Like it's actually like a perfect atmosphere in here. Like, what do you mean it's hot in here? You know, I'm like going, it was 104 when I used to do this. So
it's the uphill both ways thing.
My question
we need
was,
to stop talking about this because we're just going to sound like
one more thing.
Grumpy old men.
Yeah.
One more thing. I think this will make it all better, and that is, Nick, can you guarantee that if we, you know, use this software that we'll all have Lambos? Can we all buy Lambos with, if we like Moneyball?
You heard it first. Just make sure that AC unit is fixed before you pull up.
Okay. Exactly.
Okay.
Print Profit comes with a new Lambo.
Nick, before we get to the last part of this, is there anything else you want to add about what people should do or look out for, or anything in that sense of what it is that you can help with, or maybe something like that?
Yeah, I'd like to just really sum up with a message more than just like pushing product or features. It's that even though I may not know you or your shop, I know those pain points and it sucks. And there's a better way to hopefully sleep better at night, make more confident decisions. And that's the key thing I want to get across, is that it doesn't have to be like that. You don't have to be a numbers whiz. And the whole reason this was created was to empower and bring along the ride a whole host of folks with different backgrounds. So if you do feel stuck, there are options out there. And if you ever feel that might be interesting to connect, would love to help. But that's just the key message I want to get across. And that's why this was created, because I know that pain point myself, and that's not fun environment day to day to be in. So, yeah.
Well,
I think that young shops can benefit even more than some of, you know, a shop like mine, because
it's one of those things that get into super early.
If you start off knowing these things, you have a huge advantage over someone who does not. And so,
right.
You know, that's just my take on it. I got in late, but I'm at a spot in my career that I go, you know, I want to do more things and I need to pay attention to this shit. So,
and like I was telling all these stories, and I want people to know that's like not currently how it is. I'm just saying that like all through the progression of getting to where we are now, there's years of like John said, like there's years of you just figuring shit out of like, oh, I definitely shouldn't have just made that gut decision to buy this piece of equipment or do this thing. Like you learn and whatever. And it's like, now where I'm at now, it's like, I'm comfortable and I can do these things and things are going well, but it would be nice to, you know a little bit more about these numbers. So I'm interested to hear more of what John's takes are, you know, a month from now, 2 months from now or whatever, and see how this process goes. But yeah, it's one of those things, get into as early as you can, because it's a good practice to have for forever.
Yeah. And Nick said something important, you know, he's like, hey, you sleep better at night when you really know the numbers. Yeah. But the truth is, if you haven't known your numbers, you may have a couple of sleepless nights before that happens. Like you get into this thing and you start learning everything, and you start really seeing where money's going, and you start looking at what it opens your eyes to everything. And again, I hope that, you know, 6 months from now, I do sleep really nice and easy. But right now we're doing some work and we're focused in on these numbers. I just keep looking left at them right now, but we're focused in on these numbers and again, like I told you, Andy, like I feel like I'm playing moneyball, it's like we're tweaking this and tweaking that, and let's see, can we do more with less? And that doesn't necessarily mean eliminating a position, but that might mean adding something onto a certain process that somebody else can take care of so that somebody can do something else for you, which can in turn be a whole nother service that you can charge for or something like that, So it's not necessarily about eliminating jobs and costs and things like that, but it's just about reassigning those in different ways to be more profitable long.
It's just being responsible.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Andy, over-unders?
Okay, gentlemen, we have 3 over-unders as usual. I have 3 things. You just let me know if you think they're overrated, underrated, or properly rated. The first one, Limp Biscuit.
No, super underrated. 100%.
Go ahead, Nick.
I've never listened to them. Shame on me.
Get out of here.
I think that if
not real.
I like Limp Bizkit. I used to play a lot of Limp Bizkit. I think that if you have some aggression to get out and you just want to like rock out, lift weights heavy, something like that, I think Limp Bizkit is maybe they're properly rated because I enjoy them, but they're not my total favorite.
I love that they have such a resurgence right now.
Yeah, I know. It feels good, doesn't it? And he sounds just like they did 20 years ago or whatever, or more. It's really cool. All right, next we have Animal Crackers.
Super underrated.
I'm going to say underrated because I have a 2.5-year-old and I'm always cleaning up my car with crumbs.
Overrated. I have this little app that if I scan the barcode, that my wife makes me use this, but if I scan the barcode and it's below a 50 out of 100, I don't get to eat it anyway. So I'm pretty sure.
Well, we all don't have the body of a god, John. All right, so fucking leave us alone. Let me eat my fucking animal crackers.
All right. I think, I guess I need to answer. I'm going to say underrated because, yes, you're right. They have added sugars and it's not the healthiest choice, but they're good and they're for me. So they're good for me, right? That's how it works. All right. Last but not least, I didn't come up with this one, although I wish I did. Getting Away with Murder.
Oh God, super underrated.
I would say underrated.
Yeah. Underrated.
I've thought about it. So
just
I'm not gonna lie.
Edit that out.
No, leave it in. I've thought about it. I'm playing the whole thing out.
It's not illegal to think about, is it? I think you can do that.
No, you could do that. Yeah.
All
right.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Can't say anything incriminating. So, all right.
No, that's it on that one.
I'm going to shut up. Yeah, I'm going to shut up. So,
well, boys, thank you for doing this. Nick, thank you for making this software and diving into it. It is something that is a big, I know we kind of came into this episode to talk about John, taking over of everything in St. Louis, but really it is something that a lot of shops really should look into is their numbers, and it helps every print shop out if everybody knows their numbers, because then we can stop racing to the bottom. It'd be nice if we all stood our ground and be like, no, this is what our price is, but it just doesn't happen. But if we all knew our numbers, maybe we would be like, well, I can't say yes to this because it doesn't fucking work. So thanks for doing it. I'm interested in kind of seeing how things go and then checking you out and seeing what's going on. But John, always good to see you as usual. Love you.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, appreciate it.
It was fun. It was fun. Hey, cheers to 2025. Let's hope that we all have huge years.
Cheers to 2025. Yeah, hell yeah. And Nick, I'm calling you later today.
Yeah.
Awesome. Sabotage, John.
I'm not waiting.
Sabotage.
I see what's happening here. So I'm calling you later.
You have to. You see, I have the luxury of waiting. You have to do this now, or you will be eaten. All right. See you guys later.